Welcome to the introduction for SketchUp for Schools. Let's begin by clicking Untitled and naming our project. I will call mine My Fun, click OK, and then it asks for a folder. I choose the SketchUp Models folder, which was created for me when I first launched SketchUp for Schools. Here you can see when I click My Drive, there is now a SketchUp Models folder, and inside that folder we can find the work we just did. Before we start, let's talk about the toolbar. You'll spend a lot of time with the Select tool. There are many other cool tools that when you click them, they give you options of what you want to play with. We need to also talk about navigation though. The first tool down here is the Orbit tool. It allows you to click the mouse and drag to look around. You can click and let go and see from all sides. You can also switch to pan, where you drag the world left, right, forward, and back. You can also use zoom, where you zoom in and zoom back. You can also do that with the scroll wheel if you're using a mouse. Later, when we start building, you'll enjoy using the zoom window and the zoom extents to see parts of your project. Whenever you are working, make sure you keep an eye on the options you have down here at the bottom. So if I hold down Shift and drag, it automatically switches from orbit to pan. These tricks can make it a lot more efficient while you're building. On the right side of our screen, we find the panels. In the panels options, you have amazing things like components and materials, and my personal favorite, the instructor. What is amazing about the instructor is it gives you all the cool techniques you can use to make your building easier, and every time you switch tools, it switches to give you topics about that tool. A fantastic way to improve your building skills while you're following the tutorials. I'm going to start with the Select tool, and I'm going to select Mike. Mike's job is to give us a sense of the size of the objects we draw in our model. Now, let's draw something by clicking the rectangle and then choosing the rectangle tool. We always click and release and then click again to select objects, and you can also do the same thing when you draw. So I'm going to click the start of a rectangle, reach back into my project, and click for the end of my rectangle. Notice whenever we work, we get the red save icon to show us that it's important to save our changes. As you work, make sure you take care to save often so you don't lose the progress that you've made. I can then switch to the push-pull tool, and when you switch to the push-pull tool, you can find the item you created that is two-dimensional, and you can click on it and raise it up to make it three-dimensional. The SketchUp for Schools interface gives you a load of information about how to do fantastic toggles as you work, and it tells you how large the items are that you created. Right now I would like to show you the Orbit tool. Before I orbit though, I'm going to scroll out with the scroll wheel, and then to orbit you grab the screen with your mouse and move it left or right so you can see around your object. The line tool allows us to draw lines and check out the cyan midpoint that pops up, showing us where things are quite easily. That line is a ton of fun because we can switch to the Move tool. Notice this blue axis. When I go to the midpoint of our new line, we can lift that up. Notice the blue axis has just appeared again, and when I click and let go, switch back to the Orbit tool, I have now created a house in 2 steps. Let's reuse one of our skills. Go back to that rectangle tool. Move anywhere down on an edge. Notice it tells you when you're at the edge. And then draw a rectangle that you'll make your door. Doors are cooler when they're painted, so let's click on the toolbar and choose Paint, and then choose the paint bucket, and the materials automatically pop out. I am going to pick a color for my door, and I am feeling like a blue door today. So you find your color that you like, and then you simply create or paint or fill in your door. Let's switch to another tool. How about the circle tool? And let's draw a quick circle window beside our door. Click on the panels, and under your panellet, use the browse command to find the glass and mirrors. Choose one of the glass choices that you think is neat. Paint your window, and notice when you switch to the orbit tool, you can now see in and Mike is visible again. At any point while you're building, you can right click on objects. So I am going to select the door, right click it, and I'm going to hide it. Notice now when I switch to orbit, I can get a good look at Mike. And if I want to remove him from my project, I can click on him with the select tool. And then once he has been selected, I can press delete on the keyboard and he's no longer part of the project. Check out the amazing walk command, which looks like footsteps, and then when you click on your screen and push forward, you actually walk into our nifty house. SketchUp for Schools has a multitude of materials you can pick from on the panel. When you move to it, let's find brick, cladding, and siding and pick a brick that you think is going to be beautiful. And when you click the brick, then you can simply click on your house and quickly color them by painting. I'm going to switch to the orbit tool so I can see the back. Switch back to my brick that I like, and I'm going to quickly paint and paint my house. I'm going to try a different tool called Pan, and this lets me drag so I can get a better look at the roof. And I'm going to go back to the Browse tool, and this time I'm going to find Roofing. And I'm going to pick a roof that I think looks nice with these bricks, and then I can paint, move back to the Orbit tool, spin around, and paint that other side. Let's quickly orbit and check the front of our building to make sure I got everything, and I do have the entire house painted. Just another reminder to keep an eye on that red save button so that you save your changes. We have barely scratched the surface of all the incredible things that you can do with SketchUp for Schools, but hopefully this gets you excited so you can now jump into the tutorials and complete some amazing SketchUp for Schools projects.